Hey y'all, I did not fix my background today. Normally it's like all set up and all pretty. I didn't fix it because Weems is asleep on the couch and I felt bad waking him up. So I didn't fix the background. Sorry. But I'm back and I actually have something new today. I saw a TikTok about a haunted doll and it made me want to look into like famous haunted dolls. I don't know why. I don't know why I do this to myself. And of course I found a bunch of stuff about Annabelle, but I found a book that is full of like these famous haunted dolls and I want to read these. I want to read about it. I want to read about it. So that's what we're doing today. We'll see if you guys like this. I'll read about a couple haunted dolls. If you hate it, you hate it. We won't do it again. We're going to hop right in. This first one, well, the first one in this book is Annabelle, but I'm not going to read about it unless you want me to, just because I feel like we all know who Annabelle is. I don't like know the entire story behind Annabelle, even though I've seen the movies. I feel like I still don't know the whole story, but if you want me to read about Annabelle, I will, but I'm going to skip it for now. So this first one is Robert the doll, and I'm going to put a picture. This is Robert. We hate Robert. We don't even know anything about Robert, but we hate him. When I was a little girl, around 4 or 5 years old, I had a doll as tall as I was, with blonde hair and blue eyes just like me. I absolutely adored her. We played together for hours on end, and I would talk to her as if she were a real friend, even sharing clothes with her as we wore the same size. Many children had such dolls, large or small, that they bonded closely with in their youngest years. This is such a common and innocent thing all around the world, a child and their doll. However, some instances are a bit more unusual and, in rare cases, even scary. At the age of 4, Robert Eugene Otto, Gene, of Key West, Florida, was presented with such a doll. It was a very special gift, handcrafted with fabric and stuffed with wood shavings, having traveled all the way from Germany. Gene loved his new companion, naming him Robert after himself, and even giving him one of his own outfits, the sailor suit that he wears to this day. The two spent hours together, and Gene took him everywhere, playing and bonding within the special magic of imagination. At first, Gene's parents only noted small things, such as Gene blaming the doll for things that he had gotten in trouble for, overturned furniture, broken toys, the usual childhood mischief. They didn't overthink much about these instances, discounting it as mere child's play, until things took a much darker turn. The parents claimed that on more than one occasion they awoke to Gene screaming in the night and, after racing to the child's room, they would find young Gene struggling to hold the doll pinned to the floor. This, of course, gave them cause to worry, so they tried to put some distance between the two, though it proved very hard to keep them apart. Gene eventually grew up, maintaining a relationship with Robert for the entirety of his life, taking care of the doll until his own death in 1974. After his passing, Eugene Otto's childhood home, known as the Artist House, was purchased by Myrtle Reuter. With the acquisition of the home, Miss Reuter also inherited a tenant, Robert the doll, who had been tucked away in the attic, though not as you might think. Rather than being packed away in storage, it would be more accurate to say that he was housed in the attic, as the space had been set up with small furniture proportionate to the doll with a modest collection of toys for him to play with. Apparently, Otto's wife had not been comfortable with the doll, so Otto had set up the room in the attic to keep both his wife and Robert happy. Reuter found the doll in the attic room and chose to keep him for a time, moving him downstairs, not realizing what she was in for. She claimed that Robert soon began moving around the house on his own, from room to room, and she would sometimes hear a child giggling. She tolerated the incidents for a time, but after 20 years of endless and disturbing shenanigans, Reuter finally decided to donate Robert to a museum in 1994. The Artist House, which Eugene had grown up in and lived in as an adult with the notorious doll, is still standing at 534 Eaton Street in Key West, Florida, and is open to the public as a bed and breakfast where you can even sleep in Robert's old room if you dare. Robert the doll is now over 100 years old. He is still at the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida, where he is carefully preserved in a glass case. Visitors from all over the world travel to the museum every day to get a look at the haunted toy, and some people even write letters to him. Most often the letters contain pleading apologies from people who feel they must have offended Robert in some way when they visited, having encountered great amounts of misfortune after their encounter with the doll. He has been blamed for many things, from car accidents and broken bones to job loss and divorce. Apparently he does not tolerate being disrespected. Robert the doll has been featured on numerous TV show documentaries telling the story of his relationship with the Ottos, as well as the unusual occurrences that have happened since he came to the museum and within his previous home on Eaton Street. One such documentary tells the story of a young museum curator who was so afraid of the doll that she quit her job immediately after an experience with him. The woman told the story of how the doll had recently been checked, cleaned, and put safely back into his display case. Then, the very next morning, when she arrived at work, she noticed that Robert's feet were quite dirty and there were small footprints around the glass case. She then claimed to have heard a tap on the glass and a giggle from inside. Already terrified, the curator turned to look at the doll just in time to see him move. The terrified woman ran from the room and vowed to never return. Not only has Robert the doll been featured in many documentaries, he has also inspired some very well-known movie characters. Oh my gosh, the most memorable cinema likeness is said to be that of the notorious Chucky doll. I did not know that. Oh my god. Though Robert the doll did not murder anyone, he did terrify his owners, forever taunting and toying with them and anyone else who came near. But maybe he really didn't mean any harm with his mischievous ways, and if he could speak, perhaps he might simply ask, "Wanna play?" Maybe I am so out of the loop. Maybe I am so out of the fucking loop. But I'm not like the biggest Chucky fan, so I don't know how I would know that anyways. But I didn't even know Chucky was based on like a real doll. Like it's like a real story. I didn't know. I did not know that. That is crazy. Oh my god, that's so crazy to me. Okay, this next one says the Isle of Dolls. I think it's Isle. I-S-L-E. Isle. I don't know. I don't know. Perhaps far more disturbing than one single haunted doll is a collection of hundreds. Especially when they all reside on an abandoned island, rotting, blackened with filth, and covered in cobwebs, their vacant eyes watching every person who dares step foot in their domain. The Isle of Dolls is located along the channels of Xochimilco, just south of the center of Mexico City. I don't know. My air is turning on. I'm going to turn it off. I really have to turn off my air right now because it started making a really weird noise whenever it turns on. It's like, I don't know how to describe it, but it turns on and it makes a weird noise and it's really loud, so I have to turn it off no matter what. Said to be one of the most haunted places in Mexico, the channels are saturated with tales of death and the darkest of despair. So many people have died tragically in this place throughout history, particularly during the Mexican Revolution when masses of people were slain. Their bodies were inadvertently dumped into the river. Because of this dark history and many tales of ghostly encounters, most of the locals fearfully avoid the place entirely. Some even claim that many of the drowning deaths are caused by vengeful souls pulling people under the water. No one can say if the countless ghost stories are true, but the creepiness of the island is a certain fact. Hundreds of dolls swing limp from the tree branches overhead where they have hung for many years, or on the walls of the island cabin where they are bound in place by nails or rope. Dolls of every variety, crawling with bugs and the spirits that cling to them, are there to greet anyone who dares step foot onto their shore. However, perhaps even more disturbing than the mere presence of these dolls is the tale behind their existence. As the story goes, in the early 1950s, a man called Don Julian came to the island seeking solitude from the outside world. Solitude that he was not destined to find. Directly after moving to the cabin, some say on the same day, the man witnessed a young girl drowning in the nearby river. He attempted to save the child. Sadly, he failed, and the girl perished before his eyes. Consumed with guilt, the man's heart broke for the little one. Although his sorrow would soon turn into fear and unrest as he realized that the girl was not gone from this world after all. Some part of her had remained. Not long after the child's passing, a small doll washed ashore. Don Julian was certain that the toy belonged to the little girl. He became increasingly convinced of the doll's origins as he began hearing the disembodied cry of a child with the doll's arrival. He felt very strongly that the sobbing belonged to the soul of the drowned girl lost on the island, apparently without her doll. To appease the spirit, the man hung her doll in a tree near where the little girl had departed this world, offering the treasured puppet back to her rightful owner. He had hoped the toy would calm her loneliness, but his efforts were to no avail, as the little girl continued to cry night after night, endlessly tormenting the man. Because of this, every day for many years, Don Julian would bring yet another doll to offer the sorrowful child, and another, until eventually the island was fully populated in all directions with every variety of doll. Don Julian lived on the island for the remainder of his life, finally leaving this world after 50 years of servitude to the soul that had relentlessly haunted him. His body was found by his own brother in the exact same spot where the young girl had drowned. He had spent so many years of his life on the island, continually gifting dolls to the restless soul of the child, hoping to ease her grief. However, the spirit of the little girl never stopped her nightly lamenting with all of his gifts, nor even after Don Julian's death. To this day, visitors continue to report the sound of a crying child, while others have claimed to have felt a disembodied hand touching them, and still others claim to have seen the dolls themselves moving in unnatural ways, or the ghostly image of a child roaming the quiet shores. After his death, the island was once again deserted, abandoned to its ghosts. The only thing that remains in this place is Don Julian's 2 cabins and the innumerable decaying dolls that have claimed the island for their own. The locals will not inhabit the island, but often guide tourists to the much sought-after location. One particular doll, the Don Julian named Augustinina, had become a prime of sorts, where pilgrims continuously leave offerings of money, candy, and toys, etc. I'm almost certain I've heard of that island, only because I think I've seen a picture of it. I think there's a picture of it on Google Maps, like the creepiest Google Maps images. I'm pretty sure there's a picture of that island on like that list. So I'm pretty sure I've seen that before, but it's cool to hear the backstory because I didn't know the backstory of it. This next one says, "Let me out," and it makes me want to say it in like an Italian accent. Let me out. And this is the doll that is showing. This is the doll. Imagine a small town in New South Wales, Australia, where an old abandoned farmhouse stands eerily quiet, a house that has been the subject of countless spooky stories, terrifying kids for generations. Houses such as this exist all over the world, probably even in your own neighborhood, but very few have held a secret such as this one. In this particular house, there lay a hidden resident that would not be found for decades, until a man named Kerry Walton and his brother returned to their childhood neighborhood in the 1970s, exploring the dilapidated old structure. The Walton brothers had been curious and wary of the old house for most of their lives, as local rumors claimed the place to be haunted. They'd always avoided the house like everyone else, until one night, as adults, when they faced the fear that had stayed with them for so long. On an adventurous whim and a dare, the two decided to go hunting for antique treasures in the old farmhouse. They looked around the property together, finding nothing of real value, that is, till they ventured underneath the house itself. The two explored the crawl space beneath the old structure in hopes of finding treasure, but instead, to their horror, they found what they thought to be the body of a small child. Driven by their curiosity and concern, the two moved closer to inspect the body. Thankfully, they found that it was not a child, but rather a large wooden doll lying alone in the dark, his oversized smile reflecting in the beam of their flashlight. After finding the antique doll, the brothers were satisfied and decided to call it a night. They left for home, taking their treasure with them, tucked away in a sack in the back seat of their station wagon. As they drove away, the brothers noticed that the night lights playing on the sack made it seem as if the doll was moving inside. Kerry shrugged it off as his brother jokingly said, "Let me out," as if the doll were asking to be set free. I don't know why "let me out." Is that like an Australian thing, Letta? I don't know. The joke stuck, and so they named the doll Let Me Out, or Letta for short. The family was immediately apprehensive about the doll when the brothers brought him home. Its wide eyes, scowling brows, and sinister smile, along with its unsettling origins, did not sit easy with anyone in the household. And their fears were soon validated as the doll began moving around the house on its own within the first few days, appearing and disappearing from locations without anyone touching him. People began complaining about feeling sick or faint around the doll, and the dogs would bark, trying to bite at him. Eager to be rid of the disturbing artifact and curious if perhaps they could make some money from it, the brothers decided to have the doll appraised and analyzed by experts. After a careful inspection, Letta was determined to be over 200 years old, having spent at least 60 of those years hidden away beneath the old farmhouse. Experts also believed the doll to be of Romanian origin, since its features seemed to be made in that likeness. The experts also determined that the doll was crafted with real human hair on his head, something that only led to more questions and concerns. After having the doll evaluated through the Australian Museum in Sydney, I don't know if I was saying Curie or Carrie, sorry, I'm going to say Curie, soon found a buyer who offered him $400 for the antique. In desperate need of the money, he loaded Letta into his car and went to meet the man, determined to sell the puppet and be rid of him. However, when he arrived, he found himself staring at the doll, unable to remove him from the car. He felt that Letta had some strange hold on him, not allowing them to part ways. Curie decided that he could not sell the doll. After this incident, Curie's other antiques and collectibles began to sell better than ever, and he couldn't fight the feeling that Letta had something to do with this remarkable success. Since then, Curie has been offered up to $10,000 for the doll, though he has refused, saying that Letta is not for sale. After many strange occurrences, and to further their investigation of the doll, the brothers decided to bring him to multiple psychic mediums. Each one claimed the doll was inhabited by the spirit of a young boy who had drowned and whose likeness the doll had been fashioned in. It was common in some cultures to create such dolls when a loved one passed too young. As such, it is believed that Letta harbors not only the energy of the child whose likeness he was made in, but also the sorrow and anger of the man who made the doll in his terrible grief. During these revelations with the psychic medium, Letta was witnessed to wiggle in her lap and turn his head on his own just before a light bulb blew in the room, seemingly confirming what she said. Fortunately for the Walton family, and despite his creepy appearance, Letta is believed to be inhabited by a good-natured spirit who brings good luck to their family and to anyone who meets him. Because of this, he has made quite a few friends over the years and even has his own Facebook page, as well as a few documentaries that you can view, like the YouTube video called Let Me Out in State of Fair 1981 and Let Me Out on Extra 2002. Okay, and that's actually all I'm going to read for now. If you guys like this, we can keep doing this. I think it's really interesting, but I also think everything about like haunted stuff is interesting. Like, these aren't freaking me out, which is nice. I know you guys are probably looking for me to be like all scared and spooked and whatever the fuck, but I'm not. I'm not scared this time. I actually thought that was really cool. I don't know, maybe just me. If you want me to read more of it, I totally will. If you want me to read about Annabelle, just let me know. Her section is like not like terribly long, but it was probably, I mean, all of these were around the same length. So it's probably around the same length as all these. So they're not terribly long, but I do hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye. I'm pretty sure I've told you guys this story before. It's like about a doll. But we used to like fuck around with my sister's friend who was like terrified of dolls. Or like, I don't know if she was necessarily terrified of dolls or if we made her terrified of dolls. But we got these like super realistic dolls for Christmas one year. I had 2 of them, so I got them like I think 2 years in a row. So my sister had one, she named hers Kristen, and they were like these super lifelike dolls and like really heavy, like it felt like you were really holding a baby. And it had like real hair and shit. It was creepy and their eyes were like so real. It was the weirdest, oh my god, they were so weird. But but we would like, oh no, I don't know if we used mine or hers. I think we used her doll. I don't know. It doesn't matter anyways. We either used mine or hers, but we would like write stuff on the mirror with like lipstick, like I'm coming for you, or like get out, or like whatever. I don't know, just like dumb shit. I don't remember what we wrote. We just like write dumb shit with lipstick on the mirror. We'd be like, oh my god, it was her, it was Kristen. And then we would like move her around when she wasn't looking, and we'd be like, I didn't touch her, I swear. And we would pretend like that she was. We were mean. We were so mean. I'm pretty sure we scared the shit out of her. And I think she believed it. I don't know. We were mean. But we had these dolls, and they were so creepy. And I still have my childhood. I had a monkey when I was a baby named Cha-Cha. I still have Cha-Cha to this day. He is in a backpack right now. Sorry, Cha-Cha. From when I moved, I used to have him just like sitting on my dresser, which is kind of lame as fuck. But I put him in a backpack when I moved, and I just haven't taken him out of it yet. I don't really want him sitting on my dresser when I have people over. I'm like, this is Cha-Cha. But I still have my childhood stuffed animal, and he's in good condition. He's in great condition. I could show you him if you want. I'm not gonna show you. But yeah, I don't think I have anything. I should have just said that in the video, but I forgot. And then when I like ended the video, I was like, oh yeah, I have a story. I don't think I have anything else to tell you about. Back on Bumble BFF, trying to find a new BFF because my BFF left. So, or she's leaving. She hasn't left yet. She's left by the time you see this video. But I'm trying to find a new Bumble BFF because I just like, I don't know. Ever since I moved, I've been wanting to just like go out and do stuff all the time because I can, because I don't live in the middle of nowhere anymore. Sorry, I like blew out my hair today, and I don't know how I like it. It's kind of pissing me off. I don't know why. It's like, it feels like weird. I don't know. I'm used to like straightening or curling my hair, not blowing it out. But I'm trying a new thing. But anyways, I just have been wanting to go out and like do stuff and drink and have fun and whatever the fuck. Or even like just travel to places in Arizona, which I could easily do with the friends that I have now. But I just like, I don't know, like my Bumble BFF was cool because she was always down to do like whatever. And so I like one other person like that who's just like always down to chill, because I've been bored all the time. I love having someone to just hang out with all the time. But yeah, so I'm back on Bumble BFF, so I'll let you guys know how that goes. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to say. So I'm gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you. Why am I outroing my outro? Okay, whatever. I hate when I do that. See ya!